Is there any company in a specific that you spotted very early that you are proud to say that you were one of the first ones?
I think the boardroom is a great example where you invested quite early. I think it's an amazing team, right? With Kevin Durant as a top NBA player. You have Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant as only the athletes who have a lifetime deal with Nike. KD has 4 Olympic medals. He's on the top there, right? It's to being able to work with a person like that. Rich, I think, is an amazing person who's very great networker and entrepreneur who has the vision to build that empire for KD, but also with the boardroom, this community for business, sports, and culture that's growing day by day and is really a brand now in the industry and not only online but also offline with all the events and the members club that we recently launched in New York, and also LA will now be here in September. We have Game Plan with CNBC. It's a strong brand in the industry, and we're grateful to be part of that journey. It's doing very well, not only from a branding perspective, but also just in terms of revenue and the people behind it. There's still, I think, a lot of potential to grow the company, but that's for example, one that I think is a great example.
No, amazing. And for the investors, how long does it take for them to kind of see the returns of that?
Yeah, so we are an investment firm, so we have a clear exit strategy, right? We need to understand, okay, how does this work, and how can we say, okay, this is the exit strategy, and reverse engineer from that. So we have companies in our portfolio that has an exit within 3 to 5 years. So then we can already distribute money back into the fund. Normally, these standard funds are a 10-year hold period.
So basically, you sell one company that you invested in or your par, then you reinvest it, or you give it back, or there's conversation.
Yeah, it's going back into fund. We're looking at a construction currently to see if we can already distribute money back to the investors. Again, normally these funds are for 10 years, so it's not like real estate. You're flipping within 6 months. This is a longer game, right? A company takes time to build,
right?
But then also the multiples are higher, and what we know is that we're diversifying. So we will have 15 to 20 companies in this fund. So then we spread it, and we're aiming to for a multiple from 3 to 5x within that period.
Okay. And for the people who doesn't understand how you guys support these companies that you invested in.
Yeah. That's crucial for us. So that topic, how you support, right? When we not can add value to a company, we will not invest. Because what we don't want is just throwing money at a company and then hopefully our money will do something, right? So we stay in our niche, we stay in sports and 20% media, because that's what we understand. That's where we can actually add value. If there's a biotech, fintech, we will not touch it because that's not something that we understand. If we're looking at the sports, we build up the ecosystem and the people within the company who can actually add value. So we're looking also to have a board seat at these companies, being involved and being like also the GPs. We have the entrepreneurial experience and can add value there. Plus we have built up a whole ecosystem with venture partners who can add value. We have the athletes who can be very involved, who can be a face or can be actually we're making introductions. So let's say, for example, we invested in a Springbok Analytics, that company that's a software for MRI scans. We made all kind of introductions now in Europe. So they have already 20 franchises are using it. The NFL is behind it. But we took the lead and make introductions in Europe for that. So that's an example where we always want to make sure, okay, what kind of value can we add? And that we really understand what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. When you step in, you already know that you're going to increase the value of that company by X.
So that's great. Then we feel comfortable going into the deal and putting in a bigger check.
Do you think that also you get a better deal because of it?
100%. Look, and that's definitely also one big of the advantages. Like with a fund, the size of the fund and the size of our check, that puts us in a different bucket. And because we can have that strategic value, we will have the highest class shares. We can ask for a board seat. We have, for example, a 1x liquidation preference. That means when things are going not well, we as investors get our money first back. If you go in by yourself with your angel check, because you also see a lot of athletes are doing that, right? Putting 50K there or 100 or 150 or whatever the amount is, doesn't matter. You don't get the same requirements or the same terms as we do as a fund. Plus, you don't diversify. You're going into one deal, and if that doesn't work, you lose your money.
Right.
This is our core business. We have a whole team is doing nothing else than the whole day looking at deals, making sure we're investing in very, very high quality deals. Plus, we can add value. Plus, we have better terms. So it's a different way at looking at it.
Right. And those players, athletes that they want to join, do they need to have certain requirements? Maybe certain check, but also maybe the personality. You are looking for people who want to be more involved rather than just here is the money, or you do both.
Yeah, we want to work with good people, and that sounds cliche, but what we're doing is also bringing these people together with events, and we have an athlete council. So we will have the next one in September. So 25, 30 athletes will call in. We have an amazing speaker. We also do this offline. So these athletes are connecting also with each other. So the NFL with the NBA and the soccer players, it's just a great group to make those connections. So for us, it's really about good people and not arrogant, but just humble people who really want to learn from each other and do something. That's also what we get back. The requirements, look, we're working with accredited investors. So that means, right, you have a specific income. The net worth above at least 1.5 or 2 million on the top of my head, an income of 200 or 300K per year. And then normally the check size is minimum 500K. But what we see, we also sometimes do with athletes, we can lower that because there's that strategic value.
So there's also like non-athletes investors?
Yeah. It's high net worth. So people, entrepreneurs, we have family offices. It's a mix, but mainly people who have passion for sports or media and who would love to always dreamed about to be a minority team owner or want to be part of what we're doing and have that great group of people. That's sometimes some people say, I want to already be around all these people that are part of this ecosystem. That's for me already reason enough. I know I will make money with investments, but this part is that access is already such a valuable thing.
So talking to the athletes, which athletes are already current or you guys had previously?
Soccer players, how we call football, right? So we have Cody Gakpo, for example, playing for Liverpool, Nathan Ake playing for Man City, Doniel Malen, Aston Villa, right? A lot of Dutch national players. We have NFL players, so James Winston, for example. Alec, also a former NFL player. We have some NBA players. It's a whole mix of athletes. Some people we don't mention online, but they are big names and who will show up on these events.
Okay. When is the best time for an athlete to start investing? And it could be with you guys, could be real estate, could be whatever. But what would be your advice to somebody that just signed the first contract? Is that the time to do it? Is a portion just a portion of it?
Yeah, I would say also just take a step back and have the knowledge, right? You really need to understand where you're investing in. I think that's where it starts. So I would say let's start as early as possible, but with the right knowledge. Because without the right knowledge, you start investing it because your friend is saying this is a great restaurant, you should invest in it, or this is a great merch brand. And we all see these kind of things just don't.
But also, like as a former athlete, I've seen a lot of athletes that they don't have the time. They do have the time, but they don't want to put the hours because they are focusing on one thing, which is just playing.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you get to a point where you get all that knowledge that you can make a decision and say, okay, this makes sense or it doesn't? I think at the end it's more like, do I trust these people that is bringing me the deal or not?
I think that's what it is, right? In the end, so making sure you connect with the right people and already showing up to. We had a program in New York 4 or 5 weeks ago where 15 athletes flew in, NFL, NBA, NHL. 2.5 days, so after season, but they commit, they were hungry to learn, and they make 2.5 days. We arrange everything for them, flights, hotel, everything was arranged. But they had a whole program, so about entrepreneurship, innovation, dinner with Michael Rubin in the evening.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
With Judith.
Next year.
Judith invited. No, you did invite me.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you did,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
did.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we had a dinner with the CEO of
Fanatics.
David Solomon from Goldman Sachs, one of the top financial leaders in the industry. Fanatics Fest at the end. The point what I'm trying to make is these athletes are showing up. They're all busy, but they are hungry and they want to commit to something like this and they want to learn. And there, in a trusted environment, you can meet the right people and connect and can talk about investing. We spoke a lot about investing, about what and who and when. I think that's where it starts, making sure you show up to these kind of different, and it doesn't have to be with us, but with groups that you trust and that you know they are legit, and doing your homework, doing your research, and making sure you really understand yourself, what you're talking about. And then step by step. Don't go into big already, just step by step where you feel comfortable. And then start investing early on. I think it's smart. I think it's something, if you want to build up that generational wealth, without investing, you will not make it, because putting the money in the bank will not work with all the inflation, right? You will just lose your money. Real estate is also getting difficult. So I think you need to diversify. But again, what do you want? Where do you have the passion? And where do you think you can really add value and can actually learn from? But I would say start early.
I wish we had these resources, or I knew about these resources before.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest challenge is how can you put yourself in front of all that people at that young age, that they can see what you can bring to the table.
Exactly.
Maybe referrals, maybe like the older guys that you are working with on the team. They tell you about, hey, you should do this, you should invest this or that. So I'm just, it's not a statement, but it's also like a reflection of maybe the older guys in the locker room should have a bigger role on like passing that information to the younger generations.
100%. I think that's what you see is happening. I hear it already more in the locker room, and things like this are happening. But also maybe the league can take more responsibility there and do research for the athletes. We were talking with a couple of NHL players. I think there's also a big opportunity to take a bigger role and making sure these guys are getting more access to these kind of deals. And they were very grateful to show up to that event there. And they were so excited and pumped about it that they will talk about it in their locker room, and hopefully that will help. But we're getting there step by step, right? It's growing. Let's make sure it's the highest quality.